Could you please introduce yourself? 7 minutes.
Introduce myself for 7 minutes, or speak for 7 minutes total? Captain Ali Javid, I'm the Secretary General of Stop Trafficking Worldwide. You'll see our table at the back with plenty of resources, which we'll cut to a little later. But we've spoken a lot today about statistics and the reality of human trafficking and modern-day slavery. But I'm going to touch particularly on solutions. So as we know, it's one of the oldest crimes in history. We've talked about from the 14th, 15th century onwards, but human trafficking has been going on throughout every sort of civilization before us as well. But sadly, Africa is a continent full of rich history and culture, but it continues to suffer from it very, very deeply. And today we said over 50 million people worldwide live in conditions of modern-day slavery. But out of that number, Africa has the highest rate of prevalence. Another statistic here is that people are forced into labour, and they're sold, trafficked, and made to work in very, very dangerous conditions that they cannot escape. But the hardest number to face right now is that there are globally 160 million children in child labour. 160 million. And nearly 1 in 5 of all children in the sub-Saharan Africa is involved in dangerous or exploitative work. 1 in 5 children in the whole of sub-Saharan Africa. In places like Côte d'Ivoire, thank you, I'm trying to get this, and Ghana, children as young as 10 are found working long hours in cocoa farms. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, children are forced into cobalt and coltan mines, digging for the minerals that end up in our mobile phones and in our electric cars. But some say it is necessary that their child's income puts food on the table. But many are simply exploited, robbed of their chances of school, placed into situations that are unsafe and severely traumatic. But whether it feels necessary or not, it is wrong. We all agree that. And it is poverty that really drives these choices. But poverty is the single biggest cause of modern slavery in Africa. And when people are desperate, traffickers step in with their false promises. Families hand over children believing they'll get an education, job, safety, but reality is very different. We saw the Buntu band this morning. The children put up a beautiful performance. Unfortunately, it had a very deep and sad meaning. And we saw what happened there. Promise of money, education, and growth, unfortunately, put into a severe situation. But this isn't just about poverty alone. It's about conflict too. In places in Nigeria, South Sudan, Libya, Central Africa, wars, instability leaves people displaced, and traffickers will target these people in areas without welfare infrastructure, especially those without homes or work, tapping into slavery. Just one short story. In Nigeria, there were 2 children. This isn't their real names. It's Solomon and Rebecca. They were promised an education by men claiming to be family friends. Instead, they were trafficked by canoe across the Gulf of Guinea to Gabon. Solomon was forced to sell leather on the streets, and if he didn't sell enough, he was beaten. Rebecca was forced to sell goods in traffic, abused daily. Thankfully and eventually both were rescued and returned to Nigeria and given some sort of welfare. But this is not an isolated case. This is a daily operation, and it reflects what happens to thousands of children across Africa. But now, touching on the solutions, how do we change this? Because we've heard all about problems, but how can we just get on the step and see how we can solve this problem? First, we look externally. So what we're doing here in the UK, in Europe, around the world, we must look firstly at ourselves. So Keith touched on a very important topic, but in UK, in Europe and America, our buying habits matter. Cheap clothes, cheap chocolate, cheap electronics is often come at the cost of African lives. Ethical consumerism matters. Making companies where products come from, choosing fair trade, supporting businesses that are transparent. That is exactly why we are pushing forward with our Free from Slavery or No Slavery Involved campaign. The idea is simple: to encourage people everywhere to stop, think, and try and choose the products and services that are free from slavery. But it's about the small daily cycles and choosing companies that care about where things come from. And we know it works, because in Ghana, pressure on the chocolate companies has led to a new commitment to reduce child labour in cocoa farms. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, international campaigns have forced tech giants to audit their supply from where they get cobalt from. And these aren't solutions yet, they're just the first steps. But they show that when people demand change, when people see what is happening, industries are forced to respond. Now, what about internally, within Africa itself? Internally, I think our greatest hope lies in the people of Africa. Education is key. We've seen that from the many projects that we have here across the room. Think about human rights education, awareness of trafficking, drug prevention, which we've just heard from. Lovely booklets you can see at the back here, Youth for Human Rights. The Truth About Drugs, and our own booklet from Stop Trafficking, all about human trafficking and modern day slavery. These all can be utilised to train people and educate people. And governments have to really do their part, and Keith touched on that a lot. Actually enforcing international law is the most important thing. Tackling corruption, rife in Asia, Africa, South Asia, South America, extremely big problem. Supporting survivors with safe housing, counselling and skills training. I think this is in the UK where the Home Office helps a lot. As well as this needs to be incorporated into other areas of the world as well. But without any enforcement, the traffickers will continue to act without fear. Professor Ben Israel touched a lot, briefly about President Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso. He's taking extreme steps, big bold steps in helping this fight against modern slavery. Since 2022, he's focused on the self-reliance and economic empowerment of his own country, opening the nation's first gold refinery, creating jobs, keeping wealth within the country. And his agricultural reforms are giving farmers over 8,000 young people land, training, tools, providing safe livelihoods that reduce the risk of exploitation and child labour. He's also investing in healthcare, education, and showing communities access to essential services, while justice reforms and other alternatives are to incarceration through community work, getting vulnerable people out of a situation where traffickers might target them. But where does this leave us? We are at the crossroads right now. One road accepts slavery. It's too big of a problem for us to deal with. The other road believes that through education, poverty reduction, united action, Africa can break free. And in this room, we all choose hope. Because Africa is a young nation. Of course, it's a very old history, but over 60% of its population is under 25. The energy, the creativity, the power that goes through the veins of Africans, it's their opportunities, their generation that can turn the tide. But it's going to take all of us sitting here in London, in Lagos, in Lusaka. We must change how we think, how we act, and how we consume. And it's not just an African problem. We know that for sure. It's a global problem. But the African victims, they are the ones we are worried about here today. So my call to all of you today, learn, share, make better choices. Take all of this that you've learned today. Take these leaflets and booklets ahead, forward with you, so we will make this world free from slavery. So I'm going to end there. But I just wanted to say, I came today in the traditional Nigerian dress. I went to my good African friend, Sheikh Mustafa Badru of Halston, Badru Tailors. I said, I'd like something traditional to wear so I can express the colours and the creativity and the history of Africa. So I'm glad everyone is going to come and join us today and bring this creativity and love and Ubuntu forward. Thank you.
International Development Organization, IDO Network.